All the meetings order. Griggs County Commissioners, stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. John.
Here.
Dale.
Here.
Ron.
Here.
John. Troy's here. Does anybody have any additions or corrections to the agenda today?
Yeah, I think we should have approval of July 3rd meeting minutes instead of March.
Good idea, Sean. I think Marches are approved already. It's July 7th, too, I think.
Just a question. I thought we were going to have more budget items in here, and that you would have more budget items in our packet for us to look at. But
I was going to put in the numbers into the spreadsheet and then give that to you, if that works.
Add budget into the
2000.
address.
Any other additions or corrections to the agenda as presented?
Move to approve it as corrected.
It's been moved by Sean to approve the budget as amended. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of the July 7th meeting minutes. These reimbursement requests got sent in, didn't they? Okay. But I think I got an email from Brian Fuchs, and these were on there as they hadn't been sent in yet or whatever. But that must have been
The ones I had today.
no, the ones we approved last week, last meeting.
Yeah, I think you would have sent those.
Okay.
there's a pretty minor thing there. It says motion by Wakefield to send a letter certified mail. The word by should be in there. Motion by Wakefield to send a letter by certified mail. That's on page 3, a couple paragraphs from the bottom.
Any additions or other additions or corrections to the minutes from the July 7th meeting.
I move to approve the corrected minutes of the reading.
Been moved by Dale to approve the minutes as corrected and dispense with the reading. Is there a second?
I'll second
Seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, and then the other meeting on the 7th was the one in before lunch at the Pizza Ranch.
Move to approve and dispense with the reading.
Been moved by Sean to approve the minutes from the tax commissioner's hearing and dispense with the reading. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dale. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, we'll move on to the bills.
Is that South Central one, is that highlighted or is it crossed
That is
out?
highlighted because,
We were waiting to hear from the cities.
Yep, and-
Correct? You did.
and it's all taken care of.
Oh.
That's only going to be 1/4, and then we've gotten reimbursement from Cooperstown already. Hannaford's is in the mail, and I've talked to Ken Gilbertson about.
Okay.
So,
Thank
yeah,
you.
I talked to them, so they said they don't have the checks yet. Cooperstown has written the
That's fine.
check, so we need to wait until they get the checks in hand. Paul's taking care of that. All three are gonna go to Paul, the mayor, or to you.
The checks?
Yeah,
The checks have come to me.
you just got all three of them?
Well, I got Cooperstown's, and then Hannaford let
She's
me know
gonna
that
write
it's
the
in the
check for the whole
mail.
thing, and they're gonna reimburse the county.
Yeah.
It sounds like.
No, I don't think so.
That's what I've been doing.
Say it again?
The cities are writing a check to Griggs
Right,
County.
that's correct. And
I'm
then-
sending the
and
check
then-
out.
So Paul said wait until he gets, all the checks are in place.
She's got 2 of the checks in her hand.
I know.
He's not gonna get any checks.
Wait till all checks are here before we write the check.
Okay.
Because Paul said he had a verbal commitment, but he hadn't got commitment that the check had been sent out yet.
Okay. So just you guys can approve this, and then we hold it until I get the 3 checks.
No, we'll have to make sure we have the 3 checks, because if we approve it and the check doesn't come, it'll be a different amount. Because
Well, right,
now
but
everybody's
I
paying
will sit on
25%.
this check. You guys approve it now. Once I get the 3 checks, then I can send this one out.
We can just put an agenda for next meeting.
Okay.
We can just table it, and because if by chance the third check doesn't come, then the amounts will be different. Then the checks will have to go back then Binford and Cooperstown will have a different amount, and so will the county.
Okay.
County won't have a different amount, a different share.
Okay. I'll take that out then with the bills.
Because that happened before. Everybody said they'd pay, and then it never went through, it's over a year down the road. So we'll see.
Yeah, there isn't any formal agreement that each entity pay a fourth, but I guess maybe we don't need a formal agreement.
Do you suppose we could wait and see if they do pay a fourth and then make the formal agreement? I mean, it doesn't,
Yeah.
until we know everybody's commitment, it's pretty hard to make the agreement. It was informal before, and it proved to be just that.
Any other questions on the bills?
presented with the exception of South Central Regional Conference.
Been moved by Dale to approve the bills as presented with the exception of the South Central Regional Council, which we're waiting for one more city to participate. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Road.
The gravel projects have been going forward. I'm sure probably we can do that. I think today or Monday, they will have finished with 20 or 22. That's the head of us to Sutton from Airport Road. That's Gilbertson Construction. And Wallam Road, we okayed part of it. Jake and I have been inspecting them. And then we request some more things to be done, more gravel put in or rebladed. And they're gonna finish west of Wallam today, I believe, on the Pontiac. And then they're gonna go up to County Road 2, up to, from Red Willow to the Isnetta.
Where are they getting their material?
They're getting their material this time from Don Eberhardt's gravel pit by the Auto Church.
Who put that up?
Skaponiak.
Oh, they came in and put it up themselves.
And let Jake take over from there, I guess.
So, in Highway 19, that's by Karnak, that one is done as well. So I have today construction pay estimates and some reimbursement requests. Before I go through those, just to let you guys know, there has been some deductions on all three projects. There's been some failing gravel lots. On Skaponiaks, they had a few lots fail on a number 8 sieve, so part of the gradation. Their deductions total $8,765.39. Nothing to be really concerned about, it's just 1 percentage point out on the number 8. So it's not being way off. On Gilbertson's project, every lot of theirs except one has failed on the shale content. Maximum is 12%, and we've been seeing anywhere between 11 and even one up at 16%. Their deductions total $21,759.60. And we just applied the DOT standard on how we deal with deductions on all of the filming samples. And the estimates I have today reflect those deductions.
What was the total deduction?
21,000 on Gilbertson's.
How much?
21,000 on the Tom and Sons, and 8,000 on Skaponiak.
Just under 9,000, yep.
Okay.
They know that.
Do they? Yeah, we were letting them know all the way through, both contractors.
Okay.
So.
Did
So
you
with
want me
that, or go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to ask Samantha if she wanted me to sign those things or not.
The reimbursement?
I
Yeah.
have them all here too, or do you have them printed off as well?
No.
I was talking about the bills.
Oh, sorry. So I don't know if you guys want to approve these pay estimates and reimbursement requests at the same time for each project, maybe 3 different motions, do both for each project. That'll sound good. For Highway 19, the construction pay estimate is $127,059.36, and the reimbursement request is $133,031.11. And this construction estimate is basically the whole project. There'll be one more estimate to finish out retainage and a few loads of gravel, but that's basically the whole project there. So Troy will need your signature here, and then just like normal, the reimbursement request.
Do you want to do these separately or do them all? I think last month we did them all three at the same time, didn't we?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go through the other two then too.
Okay.
So for Highway 28, this is also Stefaniak's project. The construction pay estimate is $228,292.85, and the reimbursement request is $241,642.24. And Highway 22, this is Gilbertson's project. The construction pay estimate is $174,235.78, and the reimbursement request is $183,617.05. And on both Highway 28 and Highway 22, there'll be another pay estimate probably at the next meeting to finish out the project. Our cutoff was last Saturday, so everything they did up to last Saturday is what they'll be paying with this bill.
Okay.
So Gilbertson's was 56% complete, and Skaponiak's was 65% complete as of last Saturday.
Motion to approve the pay estimates and reimbursement requests.
So moved.
Been moved by Ron to approve the three. Construction estimates and reimbursement requests presented by Jake. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale? Ron?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries.
And the only other thing I had is you guys had asked me to give you updates on what KLJ is doing for the water board. And so at this point, we designed a mitigation site for the Thompson Bridge outlet. We submitted it to the Corps. They want us to make a few changes on it. So we were going to do that, but then the Corps also told us that when they pulled the water board through, that for that project they needed a 408 permit because they're going through Corps land into the river. And I guess the federal government pulled all the funding to complete. I think there's 13 408 permits in North Dakota. I mean, I think it was nationwide, but there was 13 that they're working on in North Dakota, and one of them happened to be the Thompson Bridge outlet. So right now, the project is on hold. I know the water board contacted Holden's office. Holden is trying to work something out, to need some funds to get their permit approved, but that's where that's at.
Why did they pull the funds?
I'm not sure. I don't think the water board has even received an official letter yet. The last time I talked to Bob. But he did talk to the St. Paul district, which is ahead of the 408 permits, and they confirmed that yes, the funding got pulled for these 408 permits for this year. For 2017.
For the whole nation? Did
Yeah,
you say?
that's what it sounded like. Everything that the St. Paul district is working on for sure, and they're working in, I think, the tri-state, Minnesota, South Dakota, South Dakota. So yeah, I don't have an explanation on that. I'm not sure. So we're waiting to do any more work on that mitigation site because we don't want to spend any money just in case. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with these 408 permits, but they need that before the 404 permit can be issued, which is what we are helping the water board with. So.
Okay.
Monday, we expect to have the final inspections of 28 and 22.
Yep.
And then I got a call from Knife River on Tuesday. They want to have the state part of that project checked out on the Hall Road. Tuesday,
They're done, right? They're gone.
They're done with the state stuff. I don't know if they're all done with those county projects too. I think they might be. There was Foster County was gonna pay from
Oh, from the county line to,
the county line to McHenry.
yeah, saw that. Are they done with that already?
I think there was, because I heard somebody saying don't go across that road because they're working on it. So, and then there was one up in Benson County, I think, or Ramsey. So there's still, plant was going today. But we were up there. But sounded like by Tuesday they'd have it, and they've been really hauling a lot of water on it and packing it. And they're hauling gravel on it today, so.
Are they going up number 4 then to get to that McHenry Road? Are they going around
I
that
think
highway?
they're going to
Going around on 20?
20, I think.
Okay.
I haven't seen or haven't heard anything about any trucks coming back down
Good.
3 or.
Well, I suppose if they're coming back empty, it don't matter.
Yeah, so. Otherwise, it's gone quite well. I mean, the weather hasn't stopped any projects, so. I think, yeah, you tested the E-Bar gravel too, right? And there was short on.
Yeah, so the gravel they want to use on Highway 2, that is high in shale, failing as well. So what they're planning on doing is they're going to bring gravel from what they just used on 28 and 19, which had a very low shale content, I think about around 5%. And they're going to mix that in to hopefully bring the shale in the required range. So
They mix it right on the road then, or how?
no, they mix it in the pit, which
Wow.
will work. I mean,
That's a big job.
Yeah, it's going to cost them a lot to mix that in, but obviously the deductions rack up pretty fast too, especially when you get into the shale.
Right.
And they'd haul clay up there to mix into because it was short on clay up there. So they haul clay from the Nelson pit over up there too.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, it looks like we're gonna have money left over for next year, 600,000 or something like that, so. We'll have to figure out some projects for,
That'll be the end of it though, I bet.
yeah,
Well, from everything I've been reading.
looks like it.
I have a couple questions for Wayne. Have you guys sprayed some ditches?
We have sprayed by a couple bridges, and I don't remember if they sprayed some cattails someplace. But I did get 2 calls wondering why we killed their alfalfa, and we hadn't even been spraying yet, so. The state highway sprayed,
I see they've.
or somebody sprayed for the state highway, and then they sprayed and everything. There might have been other weeds other than leafy spurge in it.
Seems like if it's yellow, they spray it.
Uh,
If it's yellow, they spray it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's
There was some
spurred or
clover there, I
not.
think
Yeah.
they sprayed. They did it in my ditch too, but. We haven't sprayed, I mean, you look around, the crops are right down at the bottom of the inslope. I mean, there is some bad, now they've been haying, so that's a good thing for us, I guess, but.
That corner up there where you guys moved that intersection, that culvert sits plumb full of water now after you set that culvert in there. Are you gonna
Put
clean
it at
that
the
ditch
same
or?
level as what it was before. The culvert's in at the same level it was before, but,
But you could just well
We're
take
gonna
it
try
out
to-
if it's gonna sit like that.
huh?
Are you gonna clean that ditch or is Randy
Try
gonna
to
clean
get
it?
Randy to let us clean that ditch to the next culvert, because the next culvert is down in the ground about that far.
Just the same as that one, you mean?
Yeah.
The one that goes across over to Danny's ditch?
Yep, cuts across over to Danny's.
Okay.
It's only a couple hundred yards down there, I think.
It isn't very far, but
No.
it didn't, I mean, that culvert is gonna go to heck pretty
So if
fast
you
if
see
it's
Randy-
sitting like that. I did talk to
Did
Randy.
you?
I did.
Okay, when he gets that crop off, we'd like to be able to go in there with the blade and just pull it out. Maybe they'll have to have the backhoe.
I don't think you're gonna clean that with a blade. That needs a scraper.
Well, we got a scraper too, but it, isn't very wide ditch there.
No. But
Yeah, I wanna talk to Randy, or if he can call me.
Well, I'll talk to him. I see him every day.
Okay. Yep.
Or every weekday almost.
That'd be good, then we can dry out that corner, because there's been cattails standing in that ditch from the intersection going down to that culvert.
Right, all those ditches need maintenance. I wish Randy would hire Tom Dahl to do it, so it was done right.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got the automatic and it just is the right way to
You
do
can
it.
set a laser up, but it's not automatic, you gotta go up with a stick.
Right. I mean, you can get
Still gets
a little bit
close.
of that. I mean, it's such a little chunk that.
Right.
But you want me to tell him that you guys want to clean that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or if he can, it'd be great.
I don't think he has a scraper. I've never seen him pulling one, but I mean, it isn't very far. If a guy got up there, because the way it is, it's not
And we
done.
just pull it out into his field and spread it out. in the-
Hopefully.
in the field there and then,
That's where it came from.
good,
Okay, I'll talk to him.
all right, thank you.
Yep. Anything else for Wayne?
The bituminous paving, did they talk to you? Did they?
Yeah, they're pulling out. Should have been done at noon today.
They would pull an hot mix by your place or something? Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
you bet.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, we're not gonna get to that till next meeting. That's a South Central Regional Council agreement.
No,
Did you message your crew?
No,
we could,
right.
if we want to split the budget talks a little bit, we could talk about a few things we should talk about, so you can look up what we're talking about at the end of the meeting if you want.
Sure.
Okay. Just as far as some deadlines, so, 57-1502.2 requires that by August 10th, all the taxing entities within Griggs County, the cities, the
Schools, hospital,
everything,
library.
have a preliminary budget to the auditor's office along with the date for their public budget meeting.
Is that for this year? I thought that started next year. but-
Starts in 2018.
Yeah.
Next year, we have to have our notices out by August.
Right, this is, yeah,
So by this coming August 10th, we have to have that?
yeah.
Okay. That was on the
Then by the 31st of August, the treasurer has to have written notice to the taxpayers of estimated taxes to be paid if it's in excess, for each partial, if it's in excess of $100. So we don't have a lot of time here.
That's not this year.
Yeah, well, I thought it was next year. but,
Yeah, I think it's next year.
The deadlines for this year is, they go in 19 is when it really goes to a different deadline.
Yeah, I might have read it wrong, but I thought, I thought it was the year after next year. But until
It is both. But it's always been August 10th that the preliminary budgets are supposed to be in.
But the county's not responsible for all the taxing entities, only for themselves.
Right. Well, I mean, the county is never responsible. It's just that the entities are supposed to do it and turn it to the county. If the entities don't do it, we can't make the entity turn it in. That's
I
not.
think the entities have been doing their own notices to their own taxpayers. They haven't been giving
Yep.
it to the counties.
Right, but they're right. But I mean, in the instance where when they do it to the county, we can't compel them. It's just if they don't turn it in, we don't have any choice. We just
Next year.
leave that out. No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Hi.
Heading out of town, that's why I dressed so nicely.
What's
I don't have the old.
John's
century.
not heading out of town, and he's dressed the same way. So
I don't have the, people want me out, I tell them I'm going. I don't have the old century code on this one. So, our date then is August 10th for our preliminary budget.
for the county.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Along with everybody else's, we just don't enforce everybody else's,
They send out their own notices.
right?
Till
Yeah.
next year, then we have to send out for everybody.
But we don't have the ability to
But we can bill
compel
them.
them.
Did you read that whole thing, Nancy? The change on this noticing business?
At our meeting in Bismarck, we talked about it. It's next year that we have to have our,
Stuff to the county.
by August, I don't
10th.
remember the exact date,
10th.
August 10th. Yeah, but that's for next year. So
Yeah.
this year is like it's been every year where
That's
I
right.
have to get mine to you after our preliminary budget is September, and then we have to approve the final budget October,
By October 10th.
October 10th.
get it to you by 10th. I have to hold the meeting by the 7th,
Oh, sure, that's right.
or whatever.
You have to hold the meeting no earlier than the 7th.
No, we have to have it by the 7th and then get it to you by the 10th.
Yeah, no.
By
For
October.
this year, but next
September,
year,
but no earlier than the 7th.
but this
and
year I
one
have
time
to
in
get
the
it to
paper.
you
By
by,
October.
August,
August.
whatever that means.
Yeah,
The new
well,
rules go in, because right now, this year, is it okay if I speak?
yep,
Yeah, I
This
asked you the
year-
question.
That's what I thought I could, yeah. This year still, everyone sends their own letters, but next year that
Yep.
takes into effect where instead of having
Right.
property owners receive 3 letters, they'll get the one from you.
Yep.
It's like a what word am I looking for?
preliminary budget.
Preliminary tax amount.
Yep,
Levy,
Prediction
yeah, yeah.
of the tax amount,
Yep.
and then when regular tax statement comes out then in.
31st, the treasurer has to send out the 31st a written notice to all taxpayers of all estimated taxes due within the county over $100 per parcel, so.
Because I'm sure when
That has
you went to a meeting and they gave you that form of the preliminary
Of what it's supposed to look like.
tax statement.
Yeah, yeah.
At least that's the information you were given at state at our meeting.
And that mirrors what the county's responsibility is right now. The dates, it just rolls the rest of the county. It mirrors what the county commissioners or the county entity is, their dates right now, but it rolls everybody else's into it, correct? So we still have the August 10th date to have a preliminary budget done.
I don't think so. I think the preliminary budget just has to be in the paper. Mm-hmm.
This is from Terry Trainer. The consolidated budget meeting notices. It says, starting in 2018, the counties will be required to send every taxpayer a consolidated preliminary budget tax notice in August. This will need to include the preliminary data from all taxing districts and will replace the truth in taxation statements currently sent by all major taxing districts to a subset of the taxpayers. Counties can bill the other major taxing districts for a portion of the direct costs associated with these statements. However, it will undoubtedly increase the county expenses in the area of programming, staff time, mailing, and printing. Those taxing districts levying in excess of $100,000 may be looking for the county for an estimate of their share of the direct costs associated with this notice, as they must budget to pay for it in 2018. That's what I don't have any idea. If you guys are looking for us to give you an estimate of what we're gonna ask for, I have no idea.
And they didn't
Go
talk
ahead.
about that at all.
Didn't they?
That it would cost
I suppose
cities extra.
well, see, I think the thought process is, if you're out there looking at your desk, is you're not gonna have to send out a notice at all. The county's gonna send out this notice on everybody's behalf, so the county is gonna ask for some postage or something, but I don't.
But the thing is, we hardly have to send any notices at all.
Well, you're talking two different things. You're talking if you raise the taxes above 10%. We're talking about the meeting that encompasses all taxes. So it's two different, they combined it into one. Now you have one public meeting, and then any properties that are raised above 10%, they have a right of appeal. At the meeting, anybody has a right to question their taxes, but not the right of appeal once it's 10% or above. So you're talking about the 10%. Yeah. Yeah,
Oh, so
and I
that-
don't think you've raised.
So the major taxing district entities don't send out a notice at all right now.
They.
Oh, I see.
No, you just.
Notice in the paper, but not letters to everyone.
Unless the levy has been in excess of 10% or higher.
I see.
Then you have to give notice.
If it's that big of an
And that's always been that way.
Okay.
It's county, city, anybody. Yep. Or if you intend to violate the zero net mill increase number, then you have to have a public meeting also.
I hear.
Hearing. And it's just nothing more than telling the public why you're doing it. There is no limitation on not doing it. You just have to tell the public why you're doing it. But that formula
And
for
it sounded like when Linda was here, she was kind of saying when we do the budget hearing or whatever that we always have at 6 o'clock, that was in case we go over the increase. We don't really have to have those budget hearings. Is that correct?
No. The Board of County Commissioners shall meet at the time and place designated in the notice prescribed by section 11-2303. Any taxpayer who may appear shall be heard in favor of or against any proposed expenditures of tax levies.
But we have it at 6 o'clock, and it really doesn't have to be at 6 o'clock unless we're doing going over that.
Well, no, because you do both meetings at the same time, so it should be after 6 o'clock because otherwise you could have to do half the meeting. Yeah. And it doesn't give you a date for the meeting for this year, as it never did, but if you do the math, you have to advertise for that hearing 2 weeks beforehand, and you have to advertise for the preliminary one a week, so it's actually 3 weeks before the October 10th would be the drop dead date if everything lined up with the paper.
Right.
So
we would be October 6th is when I have the budget
Right.
hearing at 6.
So then that's a
Friday. That's
Friday, so then it would actually get it in the paper, you'd have to back it up 9 days from there, and then there were 7 days.
We changed some of the notice requirements too this year.
Yeah, for next year.
Yeah. Yeah, for next year, not this year.
So there's a bunch of stuff that needs to be done, and of course, most of the responsibility is out of the auditor in 11-2302. There's a whole list of 9 things that need to be accomplished before we can do anything. And so that needs to be done fairly quickly. I mean, you've read through them, I'm sure.
which
11-2302. It's fairly detailed. A detailed breakdown of the estimated revenues and appropriations requested for each fund for the ensuing year.
Yep.
Yeah. For the preceding year, for the current year, transfers in and out for all 3, tax levies for all 3 years. Amount of cash reserve and all the special funds, and then it goes on to the process of computing the levy, and that's the one. After we have all that, the amount which the Board of County Commissioners shall levy at the county tax shall be computed by adding together the amounts of the annual appropriation and of the part of any special appropriation which is to be raised by taxation, and deducting therefrom so much of the probable receipts from all sources except loans, and so much of the unappropriated balance in the county treasury at the close of the auditor's books for the previous year as the board deems advisable. So it doesn't say anything about the carryover balances, because the carryover balances were, if done correctly, sent back to the county treasury at the close of the books. So we'd like to still see we'd like to see those carryover balances into budgets, but that isn't a necessary item for doing the budget. It's a planning item for doing the budget, but those amounts do not carry forward into the next year. They went to the county treasury, and then they become the unappropriated balance, and that can come back out of the county treasury to fund each budget.
I think there's just one or two exceptions, you know, the emergency fund and possibly the 9/11 fund, and I can't think of any other besides that.
And any other fund that monies were levied for a specific purpose that hasn't been fulfilled, which would be a bond issue and things like that. So, I guess we can talk about it later. I just wanted to make sure that we get everybody, so when we talk about it next time or after this, we can all on the same page here.
Okay. Connie? And company?
Well, you wanted us to hear and talk over, I don't know if there's been any tax director applications yet, but, I guess we kind of wondered if you still wanted us to take on these duties, or you want to wait and see if somebody comes on board, or?
I did have one person pick up an application today.
When is the deadline to turn in the application?
I think by the 3rd.
3rd of August?
Sorry, 4th. By 4 o'clock on the 4th.
So you've got 2 weeks.
And I don't know what to do. My brain tells me, reading that, did Terry Trainer send that stuff to you guys as county officials? That email, it's like a 15-page email. Kind of what to expect in 2018, changes that were made by the legislature, and
It was last week sometime.
it was on the 19th of July.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so good.
Jamie, Bob Hook, Sean, Dale, Ron, Troy, Samantha, Terry. Samantha got it, but yeah, you guys didn't get it. Anyway, it was kind of a what to expect newsletter, long one. And then on the back of it was, the last page was a kind of a sheet of some of the funding sources that they had expected for 2018. And one of the things is the clerk of court funding is going to go down again based on the caseload. And I know that the recorder's office has lost all of the UCC filings. That's no longer able to be done at the county level. It's all done online at our bank.
Don't
So-
they get a portion of that though sent to them?
Huh?
Doesn't each county get a portion of that sent to them?
The revenue.
Fees that you pay, yeah, the revenue.
Oh yeah, they jacked up the fees.
Okay. So the
Now
county
that
is
we do
still
all the
getting
work,
some
now
of
it's
it.
more expensive. But my point is, the way it looks to me, like the tax director duties should be put in that office, because there's not as much to do in that office as there used to be. But we can't hardly have that discussion when nobody's here from that office. But, so I don't know what, somebody's gonna have to help me sort this thing out, I guess. What did you have on on your mind, the
Well, we agree that, we don't think, being paid hourly would work. We can come up with a number for you if you want, just to pay so that we each get something every pay period across the board.
sure.
We are willing to take it on. We'll each take on certain duties, but we don't want any other extra ones than what we take on. And we kind of want to know, we're doing this work, who's responsible?
That's the other problem that I can't get square in my head. We need a tax director.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
and somebody who will take the classes. I don't know, but,
which I don't, Ron, you can help us out there. How big a deal was it? You're the only guy in Griggs County that's certified.
Well, it's a 3-year process if you go through the state, because they only offer the classes in May and December, and they only offer certain classes then. I've kind of gone off on my own and bought the books so that I could take them a little bit sooner, but that takes quite a bit of time to do the studying and everything.
So, would you three girls then be willing to do all the duties of the tax director, or, I mean, between the three of you? The problem I see is, it's quite evident that the state doesn't want the county commission to be the tax director. And so if we can't be the tax director, and if we can't have somebody working at the pleasure of the county commission that we can direct the duties to be done and we're assured they're going to be done, then we end up in a situation like we were just in, where all of a sudden, whose job is it? And because we assumed the position, because there wasn't, it's our job. So we have to have a dedicated tax director, whether it be one dedicated tax director or 3 of you that are dedicated to be the tax director. Somehow we need to make sure that the job gets done and it doesn't fall back onto our shoulders.
and I would say a majority of the duties we could take on, but like the sales ratio study, none of us know enough about that to, we can throw in numbers, but we have no idea if they're right.
Well, not knowing, you'd be in good company because we don't.
Yeah, well, I know.
So.
And maybe, we can think about this till next year, but maybe that's something we need to hire somebody from outside the county to do. A different county's tax director, if they have time to do. I don't know, that's just another option, unless there's somebody else who the state would accept doing it.
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, Ron basically did it, so I mean, he's got a grip on it, but I don't think that responsibility should fall to. The county commissioners took it on because we couldn't find anybody and something had to be done. We didn't fully expect we were gonna do it completely the way it was supposed to be done. And we didn't expect the outcome that if we didn't perform up to par, that we would be held liable for it. The expectation was that the state would step in and say, you don't have a tax director who will help you fix it. That didn't happen. But because of that, it's because I don't think we're going to get put in that position again. So now we need to be able to be sure that being the tax director works at the pleasure of the county commission. We have the ability to say this needs to be done, you're the tax director or somebody else's tax director, and so that the responsibility falls on someone else's shoulders for the actual work to be done. And the state possibly in a position where it's not the county commission being the tax director, maybe they'll be more cooperative. Maybe it's easier to work within the bureaucracy when you're not fighting the bureaucracy. But it wasn't working very well the way we were doing it.
I think that's our big concern is we're willing to try to learn some of the paperwork type stuff,
Yep.
but who's going to be, if we don't know what we're doing and we have done it wrong, who do we go to? That's the hard part is I really have no idea doing any of it. I would have to try and find some training somewhere to do some of it,
Yep.
but who's the ultimate one then that we go to that, how do we need help when we need help? No.
Well, we disagree on the interpretation of the century code evidently, but according to my interpretation of the century code, the state is ultimately supposed to be helping out if we can't do it. Now, they don't necessarily agree with that, but maybe it's just a personality conflict between the county commission and the state bureaucracy. Maybe with different people in there, maybe they're all helpful. Don't know.
Along those lines, a little bit off the subject, but Ron did a lot of work. I know that sales ratio study is not easy, so maybe he wants some pay for doing that. I don't know. It's a lot of hours he put in.
Yeah, no, it was, I mean, for little or no guidance, I think it was done as well as the rest of the county sales ratio studies I've looked at. Better, I think, in most cases.
In my mind, we still have the issue of determining qualified sales right on the front end, and nobody will tell us, nobody will give us an interpretation on how that's done. Now,
the interpreter just walked in.
As I told Rauschenberger in that hearing, if the rest of the counties in the state aren't qualifying those sales at the time of the recording, their data isn't much good either.
I agree.
And the century code's not ambiguous.
No, I agree, but arguing that point after the fact.
No, I don't.
Didn't do us any good, but we need to.
But every day that we don't get somebody to make a ruling on that, we're continuing to record documents, and we don't know if they're qualified sales.
It seems pretty trivial that we're arguing about it, but we are arguing about it or discussing it. So let's look at it once. It won't require anything more than handing somebody a piece of paper and saying, do any of these qualify? That's it.
11-1802.2.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know.
And then we have a starting point. The state's argument was that we're supposed to determine between the properties whether or not they're equalized. Our argument, maybe it wasn't put forward correctly, was that without having a starting point, without having qualifying properties, how do you start that whole process? And so if we could just get who's ever recording these deeds, if they would just ask the people
those 12 questions,
those A through L, those questions, that would solve the first hurdle. And it could be printed out in a form. We could make the form. Do any of these qualify? If so, write it, and we put it on the front of the deed, and that disqualifies it. If we have the selling price on the front of the deed, that qualifies it. It's that simple. So it should be something that we can easily work through, because it doesn't require whoever's taking that information to make a judgment. The person,
the
grantee has to by law give that information, and if they lie, it's a penalty. So it doesn't require anything more than a clerical assignment by the recorder.
I know that.
Or whoever is taking that information. So if we can get that down, that's the first step, because without qualifying properties, we can't do any of this. Without qualifying properties, we just have to go back and keep using the same properties over and over and over and over again. Because after the point, we can't qualify them. Correct, Ron?
Right.
Yeah. There is nothing in the century code that lets us qualify those properties if they've been recorded, or disqualify them. If they've been recorded with a price, they qualify.
That's right.
Yeah.
Unless, as that attorney told me, you can't read the century code in a vacuum, but she never supplied us with the century code that precludes 11-1802.
I think her statement applies to big government, not us. You try reading you try you try paraphrasing the century code and see what happens to you. So I think the century code is taken verbatim unless it isn't taken verbatim. So from our standpoint, we have to take it verbatim. But again, this shouldn't be a big issue. It's just, there's the items, do any of them qualify for this property?
Okay.
What do you think, Jamie? You look at it?
I haven't got it. Was it an agenda?
No.
I haven't seen it.
11-1802.2. And then it goes from there to the qualifying properties are listed in paragraph 6 of that. Paragraph 3 is, well, read the whole statute, but paragraph 2 deals with the mobile homes.
The fixations, but
Yeah.
that doesn't.
Yeah, it's paragraph 1, 3, and 6 that really deal with what we're trying to do here. So that's the first thing we got to get straightened out, because without that data, no matter who's the tax director, really can't do their job.
That was my point.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was the right time to talk about it or not. But
Well, I'm the tax director, so that would be if these girls decide to do that, if we can work something out, that would be the first hurdle to cross. Just to fill you in, Kelly, we're talking about trying to get to qualified properties, and our interpretation of the century code is different than yours. How hard would it be, just for argument's sake, how hard would it be to make a form that that whoever's taking the property, trying to register the property, would just answer those questions? I mean, could that be done?
I have no idea. It's not something that is required of the recorder's office. That right there is century code, that when people create their deeds, they would look at that. Are you talking about the exempt stuff?
No, I'm talking about, we're talking about 11-1802.1. And it's, surprisingly, it's under duties of the recorder.
Yep, and what it's talking about is the full consideration statement that needs to be on the document when it's recorded.
Right. Yep.
Yep, and that's the century code that attorneys would go to, individuals would go to find out which one they need to mark on the document.
No, it says grantee. So that's not an attorney, that's anybody that's...
Attorneys create documents all the time for individuals.
No, but the century code says grantee, so that's
Or
anybody.
grantee's authorized agent.
Right.
That's
That's any, yeah, so either one. So can you give us an opinion on, Jamie, on what this statute means? Not now, what I mean.
Yeah, I can.
Okay. It's evident that we have a difference of opinion on what it means,
Yeah,
so someone's got to figure it out.
I think we kind of got away from, because the tax director also does the mobile homes, the homestead credit, those things that we don't need to know about, the sales ratio and all of that for. So I'm just curious if you want us to consider doing that, or you want to wait a little while and see if you get an applicant, and because really there's, those duties, we don't need anything for any of those until November for the mobile homes, and then homestead credits and vet credits would be done the first part of the year, so that part of it can wait. So it's whatever you guys decide. As far as that requirement goes on the deed, there's other requirements that are under 11-18 when it comes to recording a deed that has, for example, we have to make sure that the grantee's address is on the document. That's not for us, that's for the treasurer's office for when they send out tax statements. There's things that, as we record them, we just have to make sure that they're on the document. After that, just like that right there, that becomes a part of the sales ratio the tax director is supposed to determine after that fact.
I fully agree. After the statement of full consideration paid for the property or a statement designating the under exemptions, after we know that, after that is known for that particular transaction, then it is the tax director's duty. But it's quite evident that those two specifications need to come at the time the deed is recorded.
So, now, in your experience, Kelly, let me back up just a little bit. The closing agents review the 12 stipulations, and if they are exempt, there won't be a consideration on the deed. Is that what you're telling us?
They would just choose whatever letter that they need to have, whatever they determine. We just have to make sure it's on there. That's all. That's all that we do with it.
Right.
If it's not on there, then we have to reject it.
Yeah, that's right. I guess so. We're talking about the same thing. So,
Yep.
so then, if the deed has one or the other, as the century code says, either the price, the full consideration, then it is considered a usable property, and if it has an exemption, it's considered unusable. Correct?
I can't answer that. I'm not a tax director.
No,
I
that's
just
the-
have to make sure that the statement is on there. That's all that's required of me.
Oh.
At that point, it's required of the tax director to go through that list on the back of the VX form and see if it is, because it could have a price on there, but that price not be accurate.
Yeah.
I mean, some people can put $10. Let's say they technically purchased it for $100,000 and they put $10,000. That's not for me to determine. It's got a consideration statement on it. I would record it.
You're correct. Any person that knowingly violates this, it's they're guilty of a Class B misdemeanor, not you.
Right.
So is it fair to say then that a deed that comes out of your office that does not have a listed exemption could be considered then as a usable property?
I suppose if the tax director determines it is.
Okay. That's okay. So then a deed, conversely, a deed that comes out of your office with the selling price on it, no matter whether or not you think it's correct or not, but they have told you the selling price, that's a usable property. I think maybe we're just arguing about something that needed to be clarified. So any deed that comes out of there, we can use them in the sales ratio study.
You potentially could.
Okay.
I've
No, that's fine.
As a former tax director, I know that I took those and you look on the back and you look through all those different things, because you could have something that may look like a good sale, but let's say I sold my property to Dennis and I didn't advertise it. Nobody else got a chance to purchase that. And let's say I paid $50,000 or he paid $50,000 more than it was assessed for. I would determine that as not as a good sale.
No, right, but that's not
So that's the
as a
assumption. You can't
recorder.
just
As a
assume.
recorder, that's not your duty.
Absolutely, no.
Okay,
no.
as a recorder, if you record the deed, you're certifying that it had one or the other, either an exemption or a full price of consideration.
As long as it's got the consideration statement on there, it's signed and dated, I can accept it.
Okay, and so then it no longer becomes your duty. Then it is the duty of the tax director to determine whether or not that's usable property.
Yep.
Got it.
Okay. That's kind of how we approached it, right? Okay.
Yep, it was just evidently a difference of opinion on
Procedure.
and we never said that it's your responsibility to make sure those are correct. That is the person, the grantee. If they lie about it, they're liable for it. It's just it has to have one or the other, the selling price or
Or
an
the
exemption.
exemption.
Yep. Okay, that solves that.
Okay.
I think Connie had a
Perfect.
question.
I guess I was just going to comment that from what I've learned, the sale price can be on there and it can be the correct sale price. It still could be an unusable sale, even if the sale price is correct. It could be a brother buying it from his sister paying $20,000, which is the correct thing.
But the grantee
And
is
that's an
supposed to,
unusable
the grantee in that case, or his agent, is supposed to make the recorder aware of that. That's part of that
That's one of the exemptions.
Correct.
Okay.
That's one of the
Right.
12, yeah.
That's,
Oh, yeah.
so the exemptions are, and these are the responsibility of the grantee. Property owned or used by public utilities, property classified as personal property, a sale when the grantor or the grantee are the same family or corporate affiliate if known, a sale that results in a settlement of estate, a forced sale, mortgage or foreclosure or tax sales. All sales to and from religious, charitable, and nonprofit organizations, all sales when there is anticipated change of use by the new owners, all transfers of property, ownership of property for which a given quitclaim deed has been used as a method of transfer. Sales of property not assessed by law. I don't know what that would be.
It could be
Personal property.
could it be something the city then sold? I mean, if city owned
Okay,
it and
yeah.
sold it, they wouldn't have assessed value on it.
Agricultural lands less than 80 acres, a transfer that is pursuant to a judgment, a transfer or death, on death, deed, or revocation instrument authorized under section 3132.1. So, but none of those are the responsibility of the tax, of the recorder verifying those are correct or not. It's just this responsibility that she either tells the grantee to list whether or not those are verifiable.
It's the responsibility of the grantee or their agent to make the recorder aware.
And again, if the grantee noticeably lies to Kelly's isn't required to say, no, that's not right. You just record it, it's done.
Yeah, I don't ask them questions.
No.
But like I said, majority of them come in the mail. If they have it on there, we record it.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So it has to have one of those to be recorded, right? The price or the exemption.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, got it. So that
Back
to the
back to the question at hand.
Yep.
Sorry.
Well, that was the start of
off
it.
on a side trail. What?
That was the start of it. If they're going to do their job, that's the
Yep,
start
no,
of it.
that's right.
So my question is, do you want to wait till after the closing date of your ad and revisit this?
Well,
In case you do get an applicant,
I,
guess that would be moved. That's it.
Well, my preference would be to give it to someone, if they wanted someone within the current county structure. Just because they're gonna, unless we get somebody that's completely qualified, because the current employees would be more qualified than someone coming out of the blue, but.
Right.
But if you're just doing it because to help out and don't want to do it, then it's a different matter. I mean, it has to be done because of you considered it and you think the fiscal benefit from it is worth doing it. I mean, that's how it's got to
I'm
be.
willing to do it to help the taxpayers to get their stuff done, that needs to get done. That's the reason that I would be willing to do it.
Yeah, but I mean, no one would ever want you to do it without being duly compensated. That isn't the point of this.
Because it's not going to be easy, I don't think. Learning a new,
Yeah. Well, it is really a subjective. It's really a subjective process, so it can be as easy or as hard as you want to make it. Just not quite as easy as we made it. Otherwise, the state comes and visits you.
Training you, it's not as easy, so. But I know I would not have any time to get certified. I have way more going on than just helping with some of the duties. I know I would not be getting certified.
right.
I would not either.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm willing to help out with things that I can help out with. Am I anywhere near a tax director or want to be one?
Is there anything that is imminent right now that needs to happen?
Well, on the property tax calendar, that it listed all those things, I'm not sure I didn't bring it.
Okay.
But there was a lot of things on there that I think mostly, these different abstracts, supplemental abstracts.
That got uploaded this morning.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So for the utilities, for the railroads,
Game and fish.
all the different assessment abstracts.
And the reason that I ask that is because there are things changing within the departments at the county from state funding levels and from actual workload levels, and I know one of the offices that's going to be affected is yours. So do we want to try to approach this through the budget process and decide where it fits within the county structure?
I think we're gonna have to take it into account during the budget process some way.
So that's why I don't know if we need to make a decision today. That's why I'm asking the question about, from a day-to-day standpoint, do we need somebody right now doing those tax director duties?
Well, for the next month, I'm not aware of much really that's,
Without looking at the calendar.
yeah,
Because we're gonna need department budgets pretty pronto here
yeah,
anyways.
real problem.
So then that seems like that's the right time to have this discussion.
Yeah. That's probably right.
What's going on?
That's probably my kids waiting on me.
Oh.
You've waited too long.
Well, as long as they're having fun.
Yeah. Rearranging your office?
Is that fair?
Yeah,
I think so.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Sorry for taking
Thank
your
you.
time. We didn't get very far down that trail.
That's
Robert.
Was your last meeting and indicated you guys my intention to retire September 1st. And I'm sure it was somewhat of a shock. Probably made some of you happy, I don't know. But said maybe readdress this in 2 weeks, so I guess here we are. And any questions or concerns, now would be a good time to ask them, I guess. My recommendation for the board would still be to, if it gets to that point, appoint Wes as sheriff, capable of doing the job, so. And I explained that last meeting where that came from. So. He's sitting here if you got questions of him.
I've been doing some research, I don't have it with me, but I did some research. It appears that you guys can only appoint, it doesn't appear that even an interim sheriff is available to be appointed. A sheriff that's appointed takes over a full position in the sheriff's department, and I can't find any place where a special election can be held for a new sheriff when someone leaves in the middle of term.
So there's no timeline?
We determined there was no time to do that anyway,
Right. But I want to make sure so you guys knew that. But it just doesn't appear that we can hold a special election. It doesn't appear that that's available. When a vacancy that you guys need to appoint a sheriff.
I'll give you an example. I took over in April 1st, and I believe I had to run that first year. Yeah, I did. I ran that first year, and then I ran again right after that. But we're within the primary, within a year of the primary now. So whoever you would appoint now is going to have to run in the primary and the general election next year, because next year every sheriff in North Dakota gets reelected. Same time the John's election is too, at the same time. So
they're all on the same side.
yep, every sheriff state gets elected at the same time. Even if there's a special election 13 months ahead of that, they still have to run again for that election.
What he's telling us is there can't be a special election.
Right. I think there could be if you're far enough away from the or not.
I haven't found a provision.
Yeah, I'm unsure about
states
that.
States that of course I quote that states a provision to appoint
Is the sheriff different than other offices? I thought other offices, if there was more than a year, you could have a special
I
election.
haven't found that. I thought that was the case too.
See, every sheriff I ever known, they've been appointed, they've had to run in that next primary election cycle, whether it was off year or on year, so.
Oh yeah, you said you were only in office for 6 months before you had to run again.
Something like that, or maybe it was a year or 6 months, I can't remember. That's quite some time ago. When are you up, Gene? Same time? Yeah.
So Wes, is that something you want to assume, or?
I'll put it like this is something that I would definitely do. And I'm completely alright if you guys wanted to go outside the county and find someone that has more experience than I am. I'm good either way. I mean, I'll just keep doing my job the way I do it, or how the new sheriff would want me to do it, but I think I'm fully capable of doing the job here.
I guess I'll speak. Wes and I probably had our differences when I first started here, but I think our offices work together well, and
I agree.
I think that Wes is fully capable of doing the job, and he knows the county, he knows the people here, he owns a house here. I think that Wes plans to continue being around the area, and I think he's well liked and well respected in the county. I guess Wes would have my endorsement. I think Wes has been doing a really good job carrying the load. Bob has been gone. I think that he's done way more work than has been asked of him. Or at least way more work than he's been getting paid for. I think everybody in the courthouse can say Wes is probably in the courthouse every day trying to get something done or taking care of a case or taking a call. So I think that he's almost assumed the role already.
Yeah, I just had one question. What, being a sheriff as an elected official, unlike a lot of other law enforcement, what do you think the purpose of having the sheriff an elected official, especially as it relates to these small counties? What do you think the intent of that was?
So that people control the government. The other people are my boss. If they don't like what I'm doing, they'll get rid of me.
And where does that line drawn between enforcement of the law and your people? And then this is there's no real answer to this one. Where's the line drawn between what the people wish as their form of government and their form of law enforcement and your commitment to enforce the laws of the state?
Basically, what it comes down to is policing to your community. If you're going to pull over that car that has that plate light out, I guarantee you here, anywhere else in a small community, you're going to get grief. And that's something that is not going to happen here. So you just got to police to your community.
So to a tolerable level of the community.
Yeah.
I agree. That's the only question I have.
One thing I guess I pondered in the Wes and Mark and Justin was here, and sometimes it's difficult, but people got to come first. People and their property got to come first. That's most important. That's the priority.
I think, and this year I've got 13 citations. It's low. I don't necessarily believe in tickets. I mean, I believe people deserve tickets. They give themselves the ticket. But I believe in in traffic. I believe in stopping the person inside the community to figure out who the person is, being more proactive than reactive, so we're not getting the burglaries out in the rural areas. And so, I mean, I still believe in pulling people over, but the tickets are tickets. I mean, the state government obviously doesn't believe in a speeding ticket if it's only $20 for 10 over and a 65. Why do I?
Never thought of it that way. I've never been on that side of it though.
I'll tell you, North Dakota, the feelings across most of law enforcement, except in the cities where they've upped their fees and they got in trouble for it, is for us to go out and hammer traffic on the highway, and we get absolutely zero back from it, and there's no benefit from my office or the county directly. It's almost like, it doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. That's why I told everyone to start working for me.
There's really nobody driving 80 miles an hour anyway, is there? I don't see it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh really?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I set my cruise on 71 and said, I don't think I ever get past.
The highest I've ever had is 104.
Well, that guy needs a ticket. But I mean, my 71 mile an hour guy.
83 is common.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I just don't get past hardly ever either. I'm always driving 200 up and down there.
Yeah.
Very
It depends on
seldom
where you
will
are in
someone
county.
pass me.
You're doing like 80, 82?
No, I do 66 instead of 71.
There's spots in the county, usually west on 200 is the spot that we pull over most people.
Oh, really? I suppose I don't
Yeah.
go that way very often.
Yeah.
West of number one, you know.
But if it's revenue-based enforcement, we need to concentrate on overweight tickets.
We're selling permits. That's what I'm doing today. We're down here, we're going to do more.
Yeah, the misconception is that we do our job to make money, but we, like he said, we don't get any money.
Right.
The only time that a ticket will go to the community is if it's municipal court. All the tickets written municipal go to the city.
I've always maintained with these guys and whoever's worked on me and Paul kind of, we had the same theory in this too, you know. You're never going to be accommodated or receive attaboys because you write the most tickets, or that's we're not driven by that.
Right.
Some places they are. Some places they are. Not here. It's not about that. It's about combines, haying equipment, people's that are gone in the winter, their houses and their storage. And
Yeah.
it's hard to take care of it all. There's only 3 of us. Weekend we can hammer that down. So.
How do you envision the future of the department in Griggs County as our population declines? And
Well, I don't think we could go any lower than we are. And just our job is 24/7, 365. And I know most people don't think it, but on-call time is the most stressful time. You can't go anywhere without your phone. You can't do anything. Just even being in certain parts of my basement, I don't have service. I have to, you have to be ready to go at any point, anytime. You need a break from that stress. So you need people. The county is, the citizens are paying for a service that we have to do. We don't get a choice. We can't just say no, not today. I would also like to have an office staff, someone in the office when someone walks in, and be there to greet people. I know the budget's tight for that, but with him being DES and me having my plate full with learning a new job, I think that having an office staff that does DES pay would work out.
And I'll add that, the DES position, they can make what they want of it. It's basically you're a coordinator. You're not the doer. You're not the person that's going to go out there and do this. That's the responsibility of the responder agencies to take care of those things. As DES, your responsibility is to coordinate and apply for those dollars that are available to upgrade equipment for the fire department or ambulance and whoever
Or
else.
hospital.
Or hospital, yeah. Hospital's big on schools. So, a person in DES, like I said, that's going to be up to you guys where you want to take that emergency management from here at this point forward, and what level of preparedness you want the college to be at, and that person would be. You know, we got a good relationship with Jamie's office, really good, open communications. That all goes smooth as silk, for the most part.
But I guess to answer your question, 3 officers and 1 deputy in the office, and an office deputy. That's, I mean, if the population grows, crime goes up, yeah, I'll need someone. Lucky for us that we don't have the drugs here that other places are dealing with. So, but if drugs come here, it's not just a drug problem. It's going to be property crimes, domestics, everything's going to go up. And that doesn't matter what the population is. If drugs come here, then so far we've been lucky. So our crime rate is down, I would say. Looking at the calls for service this year, we're about around 350 calls for the year. Majority of the calls are county, and then Cooperstown, and then the other Sutton, Binford, and Hannaford are probably less than 20 calls each.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you average that out, we might get 700 calls for a year or so, depending. I mean, summers are busy time, so. And a call for service, I mean, traffic is a call. We add paper service, medicals, domestics, fights, all that kind of stuff. It all goes under the call for service.
Sure.
And in those calls for service, we used to track our phone calls too, but it's too much minutia to file. It just is. You know, anytime our phone rings, it requires some type of action by whoever's working that day, whether it be a simple answer or forwarding information on or sending them to a different office. Those are not in our calls for service. You know, if you look strictly at our NIBRS report, I think Ron had that included in one of his stacks of paper. You know, that doesn't really give an example of really of anything. That's just the reportable misdemeanors and felonies and those kind of things.
Yeah, like violent crimes, drugs. Okay.
But the calls for service and those community activities what makes up the bulk of it. There's things that sometimes we don't even record because they're minutia, but we still have to deal with it because there's nobody else. At 2 a.m, it's only our phone. And we're not looking for sympathy, that's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm. Well, and, you know, under a different kind of government, it would be, then as you said, the people require law enforcement but under our form of government, it's what are the people willing to pay for? Where is that line between what's one person thinks is required and what somebody else thinks is required? Where does that fall? And that's a tough determination, because what one person thinks is adequate, the next person thinks is insufficient.
It's kind of like buying fire trucks, though. You seldom need them, but when you need them, they got to be available and ready to go.
Yeah, but again, the fire trucks, the people buy the fire trucks. They get to determine that. It's their money.
Yeah.
Government doesn't make any money. They just take it. And everybody's responsible to the taxpayers. So how do you determine that line? I mean, it's a tough one. Yeah, you're right. If you and I have to take care of our own firefighting, we'll have a fire truck sitting there, but maybe the next guy won't. So, but you know, when you throw it all together, then it has to be the majority of the people that determine what.
You know, when I first started, it was Paul and I were here. It was him and I. Then we had Daryl Kelso for a while doing our office stuff, and that went kind of okay. But at that same time, the city of Cooperstown had 2 officers.
Yeah.
You know, and then we took that all over, and the minimum we got by with the 3. I mean, we're not beholden to the city of Cooperstown, but when a citizen of Cooperstown calls, we go, because that's just the way it is. I'd like to tell them no, because the city, but that's really not our fight. That's not our future, financial fight with the city. When Jane Doe or John Doe call and they've got a problem, someone's got to answer that, and it's us. So.
But they are citizens of Griggs County.
Exactly, that's how I look at it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that has to be, their taxes are still paid your wage.
Exactly. So I guess I don't know where we are today with this. You asked us to come back in 2 weeks, and I know there's some questions you had, Troy, of your relationship with Wes, and I don't know if you guys want to handle that.
Well, no, we don't really have a relationship.
Right, or whatever. So, I guess, so, I don't know where you're at today, if you're, something you want to address today, or. And I will do everything in my power to assist Wes. I will stick around until things are done with that. I made that promise to a couple of commissioners, and.
Well, I guess the only other question is you accepting, if we decided to, is you accepting a job dependent on staffing as you indicated? I mean, are you going to decline if it isn't staffed with 3 law enforcement in an office?
I definitely need 3 officers.
Including yourself, or?
No, 3 including me.
So is that the minimum requirement for you taking the, I mean, all we can guarantee is that we would appoint someone till the next election, of course, so it isn't a real long period of time.
Yep.
But I would assume that if you wouldn't take the job because of staffing requirements, and you also wouldn't run for the job because of staffing requirements. So maybe it is a long-term commitment. Just a question.
I guess I would accept the job, but I would like some considerations in looking at staffing levels.
So, just to make sure I understand, so if there was a sheriff and 1 deputy, you would still accept the job?
I would, that I just don't think it would work. It was bad enough when Bob works weekends and you take vacations. I mean, we gotta cover vacations, but it's tough working those shifts. Like I said, it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Right, and as the budget stands today, there's a 2nd deputy in the budget. So your intent would be to go find somebody.
Yeah.
Right, and as I stressed last time, I don't know how you move this forward, but time is really of an essence there, because it takes at least a month to hire somebody. That'd be the minimum. By the time you advertise it, and it just takes some time.
We're only 5-6 weeks away from you.
Right, and we got to find someone that wants to come here and work. There's a shortage statewide, law enforcement officer.
There's a guy living up by the hospital.
What's that?
There's a guy living up by the high school that's graduated from Devil's Lake.
Yeah. But we'll see how that all turns out.
Just saying.
Yeah. And I guess that would be up to Wes how he proceeds with that.
So are the deputies, this is to Jamie, are the deputies or Bob, are the deputies the total responsibility? Does the sheriff have the final say on hiring the deputies, or
Yes.
is there?
Yep.
Does the county commission, they only have the fiscal control?
Right, yeah. The hiring is the sole operation of the sheriff.
The ability to hire is the county
Yeah.
commission.
And if you look at our form of government in the United States, you understand why that's that way.
Yep.
A lot of city police departments don't function very properly because the public doesn't really have a say in that. It's a body of people that.
If you think they don't function here, you gotta go to Louisiana.
Yeah, I've been down there. We were down there.
20 years we were down there. So Jamie, we don't have a whole lot of choices.
Well, no, I mean, you can sure advertise and look for someone to fill a position. I don't think that's the goal, but it's up to you guys.
Yeah, I encourage you to talk to the Wells County Commission how that went. It's rough. It's hard to find someone to come in and fill in those shoes. That's not from the county.
I've been in a situation, all I will say, we've had discussions, and I've had a discussion with the sheriff in Nelson County today. I don't think he can handle the job. He was appointed, he was a former deputy, but,
He was elected though last time.
he was elected last time. And I don't think he can handle the job. And, I shouldn't say I don't think, I know he can handle the job. And I think Wes can handle the job here. I think, I guess the guy up there, he has no control over his deputies, he has really no control over the community, and I think that's different here with Wes, because Wes has been in the position already and kind of can take the job running because he's been there.
And I don't want to speak out of school here. And I know Wes is highly recommended by you, Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Is Mark interested in this? Is he going to quit if he doesn't get considered?
No.
I mean,
No.
I don't know. I certainly haven't talked to him.
Right.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Right.
Because otherwise, Wes is going to be by himself if that happened. I mean, I don't want that either.
No, we've had discussions.
Okay.
He's already with it.
And I'm going to freely speak because I'm the sheriff and I get to do that. Right now, I don't think Mark is capable of handling the position for a lot of various other reasons, and I don't want to have you guys deal with those.
I should say that too. I'm dealing with a situation with a huge case in Nelson County right now where
I read about it in the paper yesterday.
and there's going to be problems because stuff wasn't done correctly, and with a lot of cases up there, and I know Wes would do a good job.
Okay. I just trying to air it all out here. I don't
Exactly, that's why we came here, so there's always questions, and he's sitting here.
Talking about that article in the paper yesterday.
A few different situations.
That looks awful. Anyway, doesn't affect us. Okay.
I guess I'd make a motion to appoint Wes Straight as our
Beginning when?
Bob's quitting September 1st.
September 1st,
When
or if he's ready, if things are ready to go, I might go earlier, but September 1st, I've made a promise that there's going to be quite a learning curve. I mean, even where he's at today, there's just some things that.
So if his start date is September 1st, you're just going to step back and put him in the driver's seat, so to speak. I mean, right now, and just tell
Well,
him,
right now,
I'm just
Kim and I have been sharing duties right now. We
Okay.
communicate almost daily, if not bi-daily, on a lot of different things. So
Okay.
I'll get him up to speed on some of that stuff, and I don't know.
I think we have to have a signed letter of resignation.
You'll have that today.
Before we can do
You'll have that today.
Okay.
We can't do that. So we'll
I
have to wait till
can
next
resign
meeting.
on a verbal. I can do that, and
Okay.
you'll have that today.
Yeah.
When I get done here, I got one thing to take care of, and I'll
Okay.
have that in your hands.
Okay.
And
But
that's
So-
we can't appoint him before we actually have that. We can't put the cart in front of the horse here.
Yeah, we don't have a second to the motion.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, and then we'll have to discuss, I imagine his pay will change to the sheriff's pay, or that should be a question. His pay will change to he'll have a new salary of the sheriff's pay starting on a certain pay period, probably, the first full pay period, or whatever it is. Is that,
Well, I mean, I suppose that's open for discussion. Don't you suppose that when Bob steps down, then we can only have one sheriff at one time?
right?
So his pay would stay, I would say his pay would stay the same until Bob steps down and Wes, if that's the way it goes, Wes assumes the position.
So, yeah, so if it is September 1st, I mean, that's a Friday, but.
Right.
you know,
how long are you guys here today?
What's that?
I just wonder how much longer you're going to be here.
We never know.
But I mean, if you want, I can go right now. And
Oh,
set up
it
there.
isn't. That doesn't have to be done today. I don't think
Okay.
about, does it? I mean,
Well, it doesn't for me. if you guys can or cannot act on this, if that's what's gonna make the decision simpler, then we can kind of get things rolling in a different direction here and advertise for law enforcement officer, because that means it gets started, or they'll be running 2 people. That's it.
Sure.
And those are my concerns going forward for him.
I think you can advertise.
You could start advertising for someone.
I think I would, if we're gonna be that tight on schedule.
And I suppose by law, I probably don't have to even ask that question, but we're having an open discussion. We're not gonna pull nothing, you know. I'd like to blessing to advertise, and if that's what we're getting, then we'll do that.
I would do that.
Yeah, I
And-
started everything.
And we can act on your letter of resignation at the next meeting. That's fine.
So when would the deputy, we're assuming quite a few things here.
What's your question, John?
Well, I don't, by hiring a deputy, we're assuming then that the commission has agreed to have 3 law enforcement officers. So yes, you could hire the deputy from September 1st until December 31st, but without a vote, without a budget put in place, it's kind of hard to make assumptions.
No, that's true. I mean, but it's the same as it is right now.
Yep, it is, right, but it would just be for a couple of months. I mean, I don't think that's gonna happen, but that's the realities of this.
Right.
John.
Do you need to call 3 times for a
Right.
second?
Is there a second to the motion? Is there a second to the motion? Is there a second to the motion? Motion dies for lack of a second. I think we'll just act out at the next meeting. I think you know what our intentions are.
Absolutely. I mean, I get
So,
it.
I
I'm
think-
sure West does.
So you're gonna continue to mentor them until
Yep.
time period's up?
Anything else for West?
I don't think so.
Can't appoint you to a position that's already filled.
Right. Right. And everybody, I think, understands that here. So. All right. Well, that's it.
I guess I have a question.
Okay.
Are you guys leaning towards getting rid of a deputy this year, or
Had
in the next budget?
Not talked about it. There's been no budget put forward by the sheriff's office, and I certainly don't think so.
Okay.
That's my personal opinion, Wes.
Yeah,
But
if you guys are thinking about that, I mean, it would be nice to know, because if we hire, it's expensive to hire a deputy. It's not cheap to buy the equipment.
right, I don't expect that to happen. I don't think that people at Griggs County would be very happy.
It doesn't look like it could run with 2 people.
No, and like you mentioned the budget. That's another thing. I guess one reason I wanted to get your feelings here, because we've been discussing the budget, and I want his input on that now, because he's gonna be driving that boat next year.
Yep. Oh, that's good.
So I appreciate that.
That would be a good place.
It's a good place to be a part of it, no?
Yep.
So,
If there's one other thing I could bring up real quick, I don't know how you guys would feel, but when Bob bought his pickup, it was the red one that he drives.
Yep.
It was Bob, Terry, Justin, myself, and Mickey. When he bought that, he was more of an administrator. If I become sheriff, I'm not going to be an administrator. The pickup's not equipped with a cage computer to do the job. I would just like to have you guys think about getting rid of it. It's valued at $18,500.
I talked to BW, Don and Larry went through it, and they said that it values at like 19 to 20, and then they indicated they may be interested in buying it and selling it off.
So you would want to drive your Ford?
No.
Or a car.
I would like to get
Full
a sell that one and get into a different one.
A patrol package vehicle
Yeah.
that's suited for.
And
Well, you guys went to Louisiana or someplace to get that patrol car, didn't you?
No,
Washington.
the one that
Washington.
Washington.
the one that
Yeah.
I'm driving went out to Washington.
But that's not a patrol package?
No,
No.
we're talking, we're gonna
Red.
keep that. He's talking about getting rid of that red
Bob's
pickup.
pickup
Red-
and get
red.
some.
That's why I asked him if he was gonna drive the Ford.
I'll give it to my deputy.
I think we discussed this earlier and you were gonna put it in your budget.
But that was for the other Dodge.
Oh, that was, I thought that was to get rid of the red one.
No, that's it. That
That was
one.
to get rid of the silver
gray
one,
one.
wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
And the dollar or the price on those patrol packages, Chryslers, is still where it was when we first started those discussions way back last spring, so.
And it was my idea to go to Dodge, and the reason why I want to go to Dodge is because my Ford's had a bunch of recalls on it. When a recall comes out, we have to take it to a Ford dealership. We have to go to the county, and one of us has to, drive the other one and figure out a way to get there. And it's a hassle. You're getting rid of a deputy, and why, when Dodge makes perfectly good squad cars, can't we just give the business to local people?
I'm on board with that.
And we can't really buy them from them, and they
You told us that. They don't
But-
have the police packages or whatever.
Yeah.
But
They-
well, they could get it,
they
but
can get 'em.
by the time it added on to it, the price is, like
Yeah.
Don's, I can't even touch it, I just can't, because they don't, it's not their deal, they don't do the tax on stuff.
But at least the Dodge can be
Right.
worked on.
Yeah, and I talked to them and they said that the services, they'll be happy with that. I think they would even be happy if instead of us going down and get it, if we spent like an extra $1,000 or whatever, they'll go through it and make sure that everything's good with it and deliver it to us then. And they said they wouldn't make much money in it, but they'd be willing to do it.
Well, that's something that would be dealt with through the budget process too, I would
Right.
assume.
So, anything else, if not, we'll get on your airway here.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Should we take a 5-minute break?
Second.
I'm going to.
I already did.
I'll second the motion.
Motion passes. Jamestown Community Corrections Grant Proposal. I assume this is Jamie. I'm assuming wrong?
It's just a unsolicited
Advertise.
solicitation.
Oh,
It's must be for community service. Maybe Kelly should talk about it, because I think Kelly administers the community service out of the clerk of court's office.
T4C program?
This is the same thing that we got like 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and
oh, okay, next.
if something comes in the mail for the county commissioners, I
Yep.
put it in your packet. That's,
Okay.
Yeah, this is just a private non-for-profit looking for work,
Oh,
right?
Yeah, instead of sentencing people, you can
Yeah.
Fix
try
it.
to reparent them.
But I mean,
Kinda like
the
drinking
court, but the
school.
court isn't on board with it. I mean, they just offer this,
Yeah, if you get a DWI.
they just offer the service.
Okay, abatements.
that with the web property, the city did abate the specials on that, and so then we got the abatements for those and all of the taxes.
These are all students.
No,
These are all the same thing.
Is this the one that?
4 of them are for the trailer house and 3 of them are for the real
Did
property.
anybody bid on that property?
Yes.
Yes, we had one bid.
That's that last piece of property we got for it, right? That trailer house.
It's
the
a
one on the
trailer
west
house,
end
yeah.
of town.
and we agreed to sell it to that bidder.
Contingent on abating the taxes.
Oh, I thought it was contingent on you making sure that it was legal.
No, it was
I
contingent
think
on abating the
we asked
taxes.
the city if they would abate these because the proceeds of the sale are a lot less than taxes.
Yeah. So,
That's for 13, 14, 15, 16, right?
Well, 13, 14, 15, and 16 on the trailer house, I think, and
Mhm.
14, 15, and 16 on the real estate. Is that right, Nancy?
And Connie, yeah, she said it was four years.
And part of 17 would be abated. The new one would pay, I'm sure, from the time they assumed the property in 17 on.
Sure.
It's 13.
But it would be hard to abate it up in 17 because they don't know what sale date yet. Right?
What?
Yeah, I mean, because we don't know the sale date in 17 yet, so the property taxes will start again when a new owner takes possession. Right. So we'll have to come back and abate the portion of 17.
I think that's already been done.
I don't know how you do it.
17's right here.
You abated the whole thing?
Oh, here it is. Page 50.
For the entire year, 2017.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the mobile home.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just the mobile home, not the lot.
Right.
What was the sale price on the property?
$150.
151.
Was it 151?
Well, we have 13, 14s, 15s, and 16s on the lot.
Yep.
And then 13s through 17s on the mobile home.
Yep. But when a new owner takes possession, we'll have to come back and abate the portion of 17 that they won't cover. See, if they bought it right now, they wouldn't be responsible from
For the 17 ones anyway. Yeah.
No.
Because they weren't the
Well, a
owner.
portion of it.
From the date of purchase on. then
Right, so that would still leave a gap in it, it'll have to be abated, that's on the tax
So
rolls.
that'd be prorated for the year from when they.
But we'll
take-
have to abate the taxes,
Prior to that.
yeah, from, let's say it took effect August 1st, we'd have to abate them back to the first of the year,
They
for
haven't
that portion of
been,
it.
haven't been billed yet, though.
Yep.
Okay.
So I just need the approval to, I guess, just letting you guys know. I don't know if you guys.
Abate the taxes on the lot and trailer house and approve the sale of the property, right? Or we already approved the
We
sale of the
approved the sale
property.
pending.
Pending.
The city's, the city was okay with it.
Yep.
Okay.
So I can go ahead and let Michelle's on know that.
I suppose we need a motion, huh?
Does the county need to approve these abatements too? I think so.
Yeah, we do. Sean's warming up for the motion right now.
Yeah, I move we approve the abatement for lot 4, block 2. Lot 2 of Southwest Edition. The years of 2013 through 2016, excuse me. And the mobile home on such lot.
Including 17.
Including 17.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries.
Then their 60 days will start after the official deed transfer or something, I suppose.
60 days.
They got 60
clean up.
days to clean it up and to get rid of that mobile.
Oh, that's right.
So I need Jamie to draft up a deed,
Yep.
get that to them. Once I get that to them, that's when their 60 days should start.
I think so.
Once the recorder records it.
Or we can do, yeah, we gotta do both, we have to do both deeds,
Yep.
I'm pretty sure it will happen. Get a big garbage truck.
Okay, contract for library service. Ron, are you still on the library board, John? Okay.
Yeah, this is what page is that on again?
65.
I guess it's a 5-year agreement. I think we've forgotten about it for a while. But I think it's pretty standard. There were a few minor spelling errors in it, but I think that should be probably fine. Like in item 12, it says at least 2 years before the proposed date of withdrawal. It should be proposed date of withdrawal and stuff, but I don't know, we need to be too nitpicky on it.
Probably not.
accept the agreement.
Been moved by Ron to accept the contract for library service agreement with the city of Cooperstone. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by John. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Stacy Arstead sent in a proposal to list property for the social services building. I guess, and I talked to her on the phone, she just doesn't think that property is gonna bring what the county has into it, which I don't know that any of us expect that to happen. I just told her that we're not gonna expect that of her, cause I don't think the market is there to do that. I'd be tickled if we got if she thinks it's gonna bring between 65 and 75,000. They charge 6% commission on selling. I guess I'd be tickled if that happened, but
And it looks like at the end of July, she's gonna be with Arstead Realty or her own company or something, so. Yeah, that last paragraph there.
right.
Yeah, so I guess if we proceed with it, we'd be proceeding with Arstead.
Sure. I think Vorland's retiring. Those Vorlands.
Oh,
You know, Mrs. Vorland used to be an appraiser and she retired a while ago. And her husband was a real estate agent, and I think he probably is retiring too. Their daughter is married to Tim Bergwood, but I think she's an appraiser too, but they live over in Minnesota. So.
Yep, Penny.
Huh?
Penny is her name.
Penny, yeah.
Yeah, she's an appraiser.
I think she want motion to list it.
well, she said between 65,000 and 75,000. I kinda think 65,000.
Well, I was gonna say 75, you can always,
Were ya?
you can always go down, can't
I
go
just thought
back
it would
up.
be I suppose you can ask that, and then if she gets any offers, right, if somebody brings an offer in.
Well, I mean, we can just approve her proposal and she can list it wherever she thinks she can sell it and she can move it if she can, can't she?
Yeah.
We gotta give her final approval anyway, it doesn't matter where she.
So, okay.
Get an offer, then we'll have to entertain it at that time.
So,
Oh, did we determine whether or not we have to put this out on bids?
I never looked that up, but I think we're probably gonna have to. I probably should look that up.
So it's take realtor bids?
No, I take bids for the sale of it.
For the sale of the property.
Oh,
well, that's what she's gonna do. Take
She's gonna
bids.
advertise it for bids. I think that's what's gonna have to be done with it, cause it's over $150 worth of property.
well, if that's the case, I mean, we don't need her to take bids on it, do we? We can just put it in the paper saying we're taking bids.
Or hire an auctioneer and have it set an auction of it.
I'll take my chances with her and letting her advertise this sooner than putting it in the paper and hoping somebody reads the ad.
But if the legal requirement is to advertise, if we're legally required to take bids, we gotta do it. It seems like,
Let me see if I can.
right?
No.
Okay. Why better read the century?
I'm ready to.
I guess so.
You're taking it literally. Sorry.
Which state department comes and disciplines us if we screw up here?
Yeah. No comment.
I mean, that was the question right from the start, whether or not we could sell it. And on,
Yeah, I thought we had that answer, but
I
apparently
thought
we
we did
didn't.
too, but now that you bring it up again, I can't
No.
remember.
I mean, I'm fine with having her sell it on bids, but I think we should have her do it because
no, that's fine, if she can conduct a,
Well, we
Advertise
can
a lot
set a
better
minimum, what we can do is set a minimum bid price and have her sell it by bids.
I don't want to set a minimum bid price. I don't know what it's worth.
I think it'd be lucky to get back what the final payment on it's gonna be.
I think you're
Because
right.
considering the bank building, the
There's a
big bank
big
building
building.
sold for under $100,000.
And Angie's had that building
For sale for
advertised
2-3
forever.
years.
Which one?
Angie
Right by
Odegaard.
there.
Oh, yeah, this is a better building than that, I mean, this doesn't vault, but.
Right.
Well, one way or the other, it needs to get out there in the market, and however we need to do it, it needs to be done, but.
At least for the advertising part, went to the real.
Maybe I should call Steve Rahovsky and see if he wants to get out of the the funeral home business.
Not big enough,
Huh?
you know?
No, I mean, he's the president of First United Bank. You don't think that's big enough to be a bank branch?
Oh, maybe,
That's what it was built for.
yeah. Well, let's just see what we can do, I mean, maybe we can have it on a bid sale, and maybe Borland can do the advertising for the sale, I mean,
That's what I mean.
yeah.
Do it like,
It'd do a lot better job of advertising than trying to do it in papers or on
it'd be similar to what Rob does when he sells a quarter land.
But it will still, I'll just about guarantee it will still have to be advertised per the specs of government property for sale with this ad in the paper, but then it can be
That's fine,
advertised
she
on
can
top
do
of
more
that
than
too.
that.
Right, yep.
She'll do more than that for 6%.
Yep.
Okay. So this
The
is
contract
her,
might have to get worded differently. You know, we might be paying her a fee rather than a percentage for the services rendered. Can we get that figured out by next meeting? Yeah.
okay,
Are there still record in the old courthouse and vaults?
absolutely.
Completely full.
Maybe we should just move them over to that building and shut the door on it.
No.
Which record, you mean move them into that building? I don't think it'd fit. The vaults in this courthouse, have you been in there? They're 2 stories, I mean, there's what, 5 vaults in there total? There's a lot of storage in there. Oh, you mean just use it as storage, move it over there?
Since that's-
Not just in the vault, and everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh?
It's gonna have to go somewhere
When Bob gives us permission to tear it down, you know. We can wait.
it's gone.
Well, that's why there's so much storage in here. That stuff's gonna come in here, right?
Correct.
Doesn't meet the letter of the century code,
What doesn't?
the storage we have here. Fireproof vaults.
There you go, taking that thing with her.
I know.
You gotta quit that, Ron.
I know. But I mean, that was the whole purpose, the way they got by with building this thing was they were gonna digitize everything. That's what the money was spent for digitizing was, so they didn't have to build a vault, because the vault was gonna be $400,000. So so they were gonna digitize everything, except they forgot. And now we're faced with the problem of those have to be in a secured.
Everything is digitized, it's just not indexed.
No, not all the records in the courthouse aren't, all those old, all the stuff in those vaults isn't digitized yet.
Oh, I thought
All the old assessment books, everything, none of that's been digitized, nor will ever will be.
So over $1,000 public sale.
So it's gotta be advertised?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Over 1,000 is all it is?
Over 1,000 it says, right?
Yeah. Yep, Mumford, yep. I know.
So the only thing we'll have to do is have her revise her proposal.
Yep, to fit, what was the code number?
Yeah.
It's under the.
112702.
2701.
Yep, sale of public property.
Has to be published in the paper for 2 weeks, of course, and we have to notice if it's either gonna be a sealed bid or auction.
Okay. Tax director.
Did you want us to continue to talk about the 2018 budget? I have it inserted here.
I don't have it here.
Well, you guys added it to the agenda. I have it added right there.
Oh.
Just because now these three are the ones that are always on the agenda, so I
Right,
just
yeah.
inserted it there.
Okay, we can. Do we have anything to talk about?
Well, I mean, it's just really, now it's really dependent on Samantha providing us with the budget.
I've gotten quite a few back, so I'll just start inputting all of their numbers into the spreadsheet, and I will have the spreadsheets for you by next meeting.
Okay.
I think if you wanted to send them out early to us, I wouldn't see anything wrong with that. I mean, you can send them to all 5 commissioners.
As soon as I get them done, I will send them out to all of you saying don't discuss
Yeah,
before the
okay.
meeting, and
Then we'll have a chance to review.
and we'll have them.
But maybe better read through the requirements here, because they're fairly stringent, and it doesn't give the department heads any leeway. Unfortunately, if they don't provide it, it's you that's in trouble. So, I mean, it's totally the responsibility of the auditor to provide us with the completed budget.
Well, I have all of the revenue into the spreadsheet. I have all of the 2016 actuals, all of the 17 estimated, and then now they kind of redid their what they're asking or proposal. I put all of the budgets or the balances as of December 31st or December 31st. I have all of those in, so
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, so yeah, we need the closing balances for 15, 16, and the estimate, and then 17, there is no closing balance because we were going to use the whole budget amount, so. But the 17 is an estimated budget because we don't know, we haven't spent the money yet.
right, and I've done like we've done in the past, where I've used that they're estimating to spend 100% of their budget, and that's kind of how we've been doing it in the.
And that's a given. I mean, when it's a proposed budget, they are supposed to spend 100% of it. The only thing we've got to do differently this year is for the road department, and maybe there's a couple more, we need to put reserves into those budgets. Rather than trying to spend the money, show it has a use, we can put up to 75% in reserve of appropriated money. So if we levy $100,000, we could put 75,000 in reserve, and then we wouldn't have to deal with that carryover that would stay in that budget. So like in road department, where we put $1.6 million for future projects, that locked it into future projects. We could put that actually into reserve in that budget.
I think we have a reserve in the road department.
Not on that one. And it wouldn't, that wouldn't go against the levy, and that money is outside the money that we levy. So it'd make it a lot cleaner.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever done that before. have we?
No, but it's supposed to be done that way.
Yeah, we have a reserve in there that for the 2017 budget,
Yeah. How
346,000.
much?
346,181.
But we're talking about the 1.4, 1.6 million, whatever it was in there that we've put for future projects. I think we named it. Or maybe it was 700,000 by 17.
Yeah, this would be a different kind of reserve.
Yeah, that reserve, we had to offset the money we're spending so that we could still levy.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would have wiped out the need to levy. And according to the way the Century Code reads, you can't carry over money anyway. The only way you can carry over money is with that reserve.
Well, I will get you the spreadsheet when I have all the information. If
Mhm.
I'm missing anything, you can let me know. We can discuss that at the meeting of what other information you would need from me or whatever.
Okay.
Well, we just need to get to the point where we scrutinize each budget, departmental budget, give you the final numbers, and you need to go through and then figure the levy and do all the rest of it.
Right, yep, yep.
That's it.
Okay, tax director. See in your packets here, Ron completed these BXs and then uploaded the data to the state as requested. And the sales ratio study is on page
81.
81. Thanks, Ron, for,
Yeah, thank you.
Want to explain it, Ron, or is it?
Well, I think, yeah, probably the key number they look at is the median. And for commercial, it came out to 94.8 and it came out to 93.3 on the residential. And then there's still some sort of an adjustment that I don't fully understand. Once you send in the supplemental abstract today.
Yep.
And then from that supplemental abstract, it does change slightly, but I don't think it's gonna change too much. In fact, I'd like to see the supplemental abstract, if you could send it to me.
What's it derived from?
Well, the supplemental abstract, what is it again? It's new sales or sales of property that's newly on the tax rolls?
Increase or decrease in ag and commercial
Yeah, and
and.
that somehow affects this, but I've never understood, I've never really found the exact formula that they use to adjust it, to get it down to what they use it for the final number from the state board of equalization, but I'll try to figure that out this year.
So this median is what we want to be 90%.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, they've always in the past, I'm sure they will this year, at the beginning of the meeting, they set their tolerance levels, and they've always set it between 90 and 100 in the past.
So where were we last year on?
We were a little low last year.
Yeah.
80, was it 80?
87.8
87
or something, yeah.
And 86, so they raised residential 3%,
Yep.
I think, and the commercial 2% possibly, so.
Mm-hmm.
okay, any other questions on that?
No, thanks, Ron, that was.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, we shouldn't need a motion to approve it, should we? Okay, 'cause it's supposed to be reviewed by the county commissioners, but we have reviewed it, so as long as that's
Well,
acceptable.
this is our final act as tax
What's it-
directors, so
Yeah.
final act as tax directors.
With that being said, I did get some information that you guys are still the tax director because you did not do a letter of resignation. You need to do a letter of resignation, read it, and then motion to accept it.
Who gave that to you?
That's just what I heard. And I talked to Jamie, and Jamie said that he's pretty sure that's correct.
Well, there's never been an official, we've never been sworn in as tax director, so I don't think we have to resign.
Okay.
We just assume the duties, remember?
Okay. I just was, because you did make a motion at the last meeting that you resigned. And
No,
so then-
that we were no longer gonna assume the duties of tax director.
I think it was resigned.
Yeah, I have resigned.
Okay, well, we were never the tax directors, we were assuming duties because the state never even gave us permission to be tax director. Remember, it started out, they said we couldn't be,
Okay.
but then,
Do we need to prove this or what?
Yep,
yeah,
that's
your wages.
that's more Connie time for a tax director.
Right.
Yeah, but, you know, we agreed to the salary.
Been moved by John to approve the timesheet, Connie Esslinger's timesheet for doing some of the tax director's duties.
Yep.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Ron? John?
Aye.
Troy votes aye, motion carries. The next thing in here is just that order. Assume we've all read that.
Yeah.
And the last thing is,
You better hang on to that though.
fine.
Or if you ever want to join the Libertarian Party, this will qualify as to get you in there. Any reprimand by a state or federal agency will officially make you a member.
Didn't know that.
I didn't even made it up, but.
Yeah. The next thing is, that black dirt out here on the east side of the building, we should probably get some in there.
Yep. It needs to get packed underneath there too.
Should have asked Stan Wayne if he had some black dirt.
Sam,
What?
can we get Wayne to put some black dirt under? Can you handle that?
I will ask him.
If they don't have any, tell them to call Zeke.
I got some, Jesse, all
Yeah.
kinds of it, yeah. I'll donate it. It's been sitting in a pile for 10 years. It's black as black can be.
New courthouse, old courthouse, do we have anything today?
That was what that was for.
So,
Wasn't that in our meeting back last time too, the same letter?
no.
That
I
was
got
about the
it.
Dropbox.
Oh, got an email.
That was the Dropbox.
Okay. All right.
Is that downspout gonna be a problem when it freezes? They're gonna run across that sidewalk?
What downspout?
Well, the one where it's eroding on the east side there.
I thought they went under the sidewalk.
No, not with that corner one.
No, it didn't.
And there's no trench through the sidewalk with grate over it?
Well, that's not gonna be good.
No.
Yeah, I didn't remember that.
Does it land right on the sidewalk?
Well, it's just before, but then it's running across it now.
And there's no trench like the rest of them? Wow.
I thought he put a trough through all those.
We better get that cut out then, and get a trough in there. Cause that'll be.
Cause all these other ones got a trough and a
Right.
grate over it.
Yeah,
Have to look at it.
okay.
And I think we talked before that we were gonna have Brian drain the water in the old courthouse.
That's
That's what he wants
he
to
would
talk
like
to
to be on the agenda for next
Oh, is that what he
meeting.
wants to
He's
do?
out of town right now, so he can come to our next meeting.
future business?
Just Brian. Was there something else? I thought you said something else.
No.
Hmm.
2018 budget.
Mm.
We'll have Bob and Wes come back.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Troy wanted to know if we should have the other deputy.
What other deputy?
But if we wanted to talk to Mark, just,
I asked the question.
yeah,
Apparently they've talked to him.
okay. I'm fine with that. I mean, just so we give everybody a chance, you
Well, that was my concern. I didn't want somebody to get mad and go away.
know. Right, yep. Okay.
Anything else?
We adjourn.
It's been moved by Sean that we adjourn. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned at 3:26 PM. Friday, July 21st. Next regular meeting will be Friday, August 4th at 1 PM. Thank you all.